There's a strange feeling that comes with creating art. Because no matter how much you improve and no matter how many people tell you your work is actually awesome, a part of you will always feel like that success does not belong to you. You fear that maybe one day someone is going to take a closer look and realize you are not as talented as they thought you were. And the strange part is, the more personal your art becomes, the more vulnerable you feel about creating it. So today, I thought this was a very interesting topic to explore with my good friend and fellow artist MK Gibson. We'll talk about imposter syndrome and why so many artists experience it, where it comes from, and whether self-doubt is something we ever truly outgrow, or if it actually is something we need to get better. With all that out of the way, welcome back to another Butcher Shop. So, imposter syndrome.
Yeah, bring on the doom and gloom.
I mean, it's a shitty feeling. I'm not going to deny that.
Hey, before we go on, hey Sandy, how you been? You doing good?
Hi, man. It's so weird because we always start talking before we actually start recording. So I'm like, I already said, hey, how you doing and how things going. I'm like, I have to do it again.
I know, that's why this is the illusion of the show. This is like, hey, as if we haven't been talking before. Hey, how's it going, my friend?
This is the meta.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing, man?
You know, I'm not bad. Woke up this morning, got my family off, did some things. I got a few tweaks to make to my book covers before I submit them. And getting ready for a convention in about, not this weekend, but the following. So, you know, I'm just...
Is the Con Carolinas? Or?
Yeah, Con Carolinas.
Nice. And you were a guest, weren't you?
Oh yeah, I've been a guest before, but I am a guest again this year. I'm happy to do it. I actually was just going down my list of panels I'm going to be on. So I was like, see what panels I'm going to be on, who's going to be on there with me, and what the topics are. And I've actually was just making notes on my app, you know, on my phone to like keep like, all right, who are these people? Some of I know, some I don't, and what are some of my thoughts, so I can just let them germinate over the next week and a half, because I don't want to get on a panel and like be flat-footed. It's almost as if like, Lord knows, I don't want to find out a topic like 5 minutes before I'm supposed to talk about it. That sucks. Let me tell you how much that sucks.
You do your homework, and I actually got to give you some credit for that, because I know that I've gone to panels without a single second of preparation. I'm just well, fuck it, I'm gonna wing it. And
Sandy,
sometimes
that was a joke because you told me what the topic was 5 minutes before we started this conversation. Yeah,
I blame my auntie brain. Fine, I'll stop talking then. You do the talking then.
No. I was waiting to see if you caught on that I was busting your metaphorical ball, busting your ovaries, and you did not catch on. So
I never catch any sort of joke. I'm way too serious and way too freaking brain malfunction for this. So leave me alone.
It's all good. Which is brings us back to imposter syndrome.
Yes. Thank you for tying that one up. All right. So let's start off by saying, or by telling us, do you experience imposter syndrome?
Constantly. I mean, it's a thing that like a lot of creatives go through it. And the irony is, it often appears like, and this is not patting ourselves on the back or anybody who does suffer from it versus those who don't, but it often appears in highly intelligent and highly achieving individuals.
Well, thank you.
Well, that's just science. That's not me. You know, that is like various academies and agencies have studied who have studied this phenomenon. Weirdly enough, okay, so here's the best way of looking at it. Everybody who hates politics, regardless of your political affiliation, you will sit there and look at these politicians and the senators and presidents and aides and advisors, and you're like, how in the living fuck did you get a position? You're dumb as shit. Like the things that come out of their mouth, sometimes you're like, how are you an elected official? This baffles me, because... And you start to wonder, like, are they intelligent? Is this fake? Is it a lie? Because the people who don't suffer from it don't have this sense of shame or fear or putting themselves out there. And they just have this thing, I'll just go for it and see what happens. And then they do it again, they do it again, and do it again. And and that's what we deem as success. But people who suffer from imposter syndrome have this thing of like, maybe I shouldn't try. Maybe it's too personal. Maybe I should just hold something back. And if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't try, then you're letting these other morons get the job or position or whatever that you should have. So at the same time, like, again, have it, feel it, but tell yourself to shut up and try.
The first thing that comes to mind, though, because you give the example of politicians and saying stupid things. I do wonder though if that's the most solid example we can come up with, because I also believe that a lot of politicians, especially the bigger ones or like the more prominent ones, they have a marketing team behind them that tells them what to say and what not to say and how to say it. So
No, I don't mean like I'm not talking about like during a speech. Okay, let's say for in America, for example, if whenever there's a Senate committee on something, someone's yelling at somebody about something, there's someone up there like, now, are you here to tell me that blank and blank is real? And they're holding up something behind them like, are you dumb? That you really, how are you literally, sometimes a person being asked the questions looking at the senator like, are you serious? Are you serious? Now, it's not always, but like you see these people who have zero problem getting up and saying the dumbest thing possible. And they, even when they're called out, they go, well, I don't understand. I don't think it's that way. And you call them out and they still don't get the fact that and that's the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's like the opposite of imposter syndrome. So it's such a fun world to live in.
Imagine calling out an artist on something they did. Or not even like calling them out, but basically ask them a question like, hey, is this a mistake or was this actually meant to be there? And people will just shrivel up and disappear into the furniture.
Well, and see, it's funny in the arts because like, especially like in the, artists, you look at something, okay, there's not one of us, there's not an artist among us who isn't even a little bit competitive. Like I love art, but if you're trying to sell your art, whether it's book, art, writing, music, whatever, you're trying to sell it or trying to make it a little commercial or trying to get it out there to the masses, you've got to work, all that. I love when people say a rising tide lifts all the boats, and that's not necessarily true. It's a nice thing to say, but it's not always true. But so it's okay to be a little competitive. That's good. Competition drives you and pushes you forward. But there's times when you're like, how did this get published? How did this get on the cover of this magazine? How did this get a book cover? How did this song get blah, blah, blah? You start to wonder these things. And that's when you start to doubt yourself. Like, am I actually good? Because this stuff seems bad, but it's pushed out. And that's where like that's initial burst of that self-doubt, that imposter syndrome comes from. Like, if I'm working really hard and I think I'm doing really well and I've been told I'm doing well, but this is what is people like, am I the problem? And that's where the brain starts to circle for quite a while. And you have to realize it's not always you. Sometimes it's just the market. It's what it's selling. There are plenty of books that I read that I do not like. They are from big names that I find them to be very mid. I don't find them beloved the way some people find them beloved. And if you try to critique it, fans are rabid, so they'll like destroy you. So don't try. It's like you have to realize that some people they love their golden goose, they love their golden calf, and they will kill you if you come for it. So
yeah, I wonder if imposter syndrome only comes from this sense of competition though, because I mean, there's so many layers, and I mean, speaking of doom and gloom, I'm pretty sure there is also a level of trauma tied into this, like growing up.
There is. You made a. I want you to go on to a certain point when I ask you, because like you made it in the opening, in the introduction. The more personal your art, the closer it feels to you, and I felt that was a very salient point that I want you to expound on, if you don't mind, because I liked how you framed that.
Yeah, go forth and expand. No, I mean, there's a reason why I said that, because I'm pretty sure you experienced just as much as I have. Okay, let's use the Technomancer book, the illustrated version that we made. You wrote the book, I made the illustrations, but I was scared to death that people would take a poop on it. And it wasn't even my book. It was only, quote unquote, my illustrations, but it was very personal, because this was the first time, mind you, that an international author, being you, asked me, to illustrate his book. I think you were like one of the first projects that made me realize that what I was doing as an artist was actually serious. And that made that project...
Well, you never told me that till now. like 4-ish years of friendship, and like this is the first time I've heard that.
I didn't? Oh, wow. Well, here's a little... I mean, I'm going all out in this one. I have no say. I'm gonna break open all the secrets now. No, but I mean that this was the first time where I realized, okay, my work as an artist is serious, and it made it so much more personal than me making, drawing pictures. So yeah, I had horrible imposter syndrome there, because first of all, I needed you to be okay with the illustrations, and then there was going to be an entirely new audience that was going to see my work that had never heard of me. Like, what are they going to think? They're going to think bad of me, and then indirectly are they going to think bad of you for choosing me to work with? I'm like, there were so many things I was afraid of because it was personal.
I get that. No, I get that 100%. I mean, any author, well, any artist, really any creative, like you're putting a piece of yourself into your work, whether that the characters has some of your personalities, whether the music is something about your life or your poetry that is turned to music or whatever. It is a piece of you that is being put in there, or it's literally, if it's art, it's your talent on display. You are standing there naked, raw, and vulnerable to an uncaring audience. And you want them to say, I love you, but sometimes they'll say, I hate you, or worse, they go, who? Like, and that's almost even like that to the deafening applause of three. That mediocrity is like the death of the creative, and no one wants to be more of the same, and that is a real fear. But that's also there are some people who write, I swear, sometimes I'm reading someone's book and I'm like, they have no fear at all, that they do not care that this story's been retold and this style is very stilted. They are just drowning in purple, that it drives me crazy, but they don't care. And sometimes based on the sales, I'm the wrong one, like, cause and then I start to think, well, maybe I'm right. Maybe my work is wrong. Maybe I should be writing more purple. But I hate writing purple. Like do I have to write like this kind of crap? Do I have to and it goes on and on and on. But ultimately that is you, the thing. There's a lot of right place and right time in all the creative industries. Okay. It is, if you're the first person to write a zombie book back in the day, fantastic. Or writing a zombie story. Like Robert Kirkman did a very good job of being ahead of the curve for most of his career because he was a comic book shop guy. So when he was creating The Walking Dead and Invincible, his two major projects. I mean, he has a lot of projects, but like with The Walking Dead, Invincible being two of them. These two comic genre mediums about one, a comic about a superhero, and a comic about the zombies, both of which were kind of like at the forefront of this either deconstruction revolution of both of these genres. But, and other people have come along and tried to like capitalize on that same type of era. But he was fortunately in the right place at the right time, and he's talented, there's that too. But then there's other people who are just trying to capitalize on the medium. And that is where the imposter syndrome kind of kicks in for some people, or the Dunning-Kruger. If they can do it, I can do it. And that's where the copycats start coming in. And when you get mired down into the meta of your respective medium, I think that's when you start becoming more scared. You become scared to create. You become scared to try. You get to branch out, because that's not, this isn't what the audience wants right now. I can't do that. So,
well, yeah, and I think we've sort of touched on this part of the subject before. I think there are different things that are influencing that fear, because it could very much be, and here I am, Miss Money again, but it could be because your livelihood depends on what you create. So if you suddenly create something different and your audience doesn't like it, yeah, of course there's fear tied to that, because your mortgage is depending on, these people liking your art. So there's external factors as much as there's internal factors. And I think it's interesting to see how basically both of these factors, so both internal and external fears, kind of lead to the same behavior. We get stuck in what we're doing, and we kind of cease to move forward because of this. And this is something that I touched on very briefly, just before we started recording, is I wonder if there is a way, and by asking this, I already have an opinion about this, but can this fear also push us forward, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it can. But it takes work and it takes time, and it takes, you hate to use the expression, but it takes a village. A good creative, regardless of medium, should have just like a real life therapy group of friends, like-minded individuals, even people like in different styles, but like to push each other forward. You should have a support group of some kind to help push each other forward, and to like you and I have with each other. And I know other creatives are working, like different writers work with writers groups and things like that. But yes, there is always a healthy level of fear, but you should always be trying to push each other forward. Use that fear to try something different, or do the old classic one for you, one for me kind of thing. Yes, I will write something in what I think the people, like what the genre is asking for right now, or I will create in the medium that people are happy with now. But then take a little bit of time to be a little experimental. You never know what the next thing is going to hit, I mean, like we've talked about him in the past, but he's a perfect example. You know, Matt Dinniman of Dungeon Crawler Carl fame. I met him in 2002, 21, 2022. We worked at a convention together, and his books had not quite blown all the way up yet. And he's a cool dude. He's a good guy. And then within the next year or two, his books blew up because he wrote a bunch during COVID, but he wrote in a medium that was mostly the lit RPG genre, that progressive fantasy genre that was already saturated with the style is the style, which is mostly people get stuck on a computer, people get stuck in a game, people get stuck in a fantasy world, you know, the isekai of anime. And Matt changed it ever so slightly by just saying, well, what if aliens invaded instead? And the people were stuck into like a live game show. What if it's a sci-fi version of the Running Man with lit RPG elements? And that plus a talking cat equals cash. It just became this phenomenon over time, you know. And, you know, whether or not you find the medium of lit RPG to be your style of reading, you cannot doubt the impact that book series has had on the cultural landscape, because it's being turned into a TV show. There are role-playing games. There are like Matt was writing for roughly 10-ish years, but like the book, his first couple came out in 2020 during COVID. And then, so within the last 6 years, it has become this boom, this thing. And because, again, is it quality? Is it skill? Is it right place, right time? Is it slightly something different than the norm? Matt will tell you right place, right time. Some people say it's genius. Some people say it's the greatest thing ever. Some people say it's fine. It doesn't matter. People are talking about it. So he took something that existed.
Do you think he was the kind of person who would sit down and stare at his screen for hours before he started writing because of imposter syndrome? Or do you think that maybe now that he is become the next thing, he's like he has this incredible imposter syndrome now? Like, of course we don't know, because we're not in his mind.
Okay, let's see. Like, I can't speak formally. I'll make it like we're friends. We hang when we're at conventions. We hang out. I have his phone number or things like that. But he's a very busy guy now. Where he's not the same guy I met. Here's the thing. He is the same guy. He's just a much busier version of that guy.
He's got a little bit more money,
and he's got a lot more. He's going to Hollywood parties, like, so he doesn't have time to like. But it's one of those like. But Matt has always been a humble guy. He still dresses like a bassist in a garage band because that's what he is. He's a good dude, but we've had many conversations. Like, there is this, he is a pantser, he's like with a minor bit of plotting. He hates to sit there and like plot out everything, because then he feels like there's no story to tell. If you already know the story, it gets boring to tell. So he loves to pants with a little bit of plotting, and he lets his Patreon fans choose some of the stories for him. But the reason I'm saying all this is because yes, he has certain self-doubts. Yes, he has certain things. He will tell you that I was in the right place at the right time, or because he hates public speaking, he gets nervous about this stuff, So we are all, everything we've said is true. If you love what you do and you put passion into what you do, no one wants to, okay, it's like dating. Here is me. And only for everyone to someone go, that's nice. Swipe.
Yeah. And I think the one bit of solace that, sort of hides in here is that, even people like Matt Dinniman or George R. R. Martin, whatever, like the greatest of the greatest, even these people can and will suffer from imposter syndrome, because I think it ties into the level of success you try to achieve. And maybe, and I'm just spitballing here, so let me know if none of this makes any sense at all. But maybe, because success is a very personal thing as well, right? What is success for me might be completely different for you. And maybe that's why imposter syndrome feels so freaking personal, because the success you have defined, or the success you're chasing, is personal. It might not even have to do with how certain you are about your skills or about, the things you're doing. I feel like it is much more tied into fear of not achieving the success, of not meeting that bar you set for yourself. Does that make sense?
Kinda. These are the type of topics that, unfortunately, they never have one answer. We can bounce around constantly because there is no singular answer to what is and what is not success, what is not imposter syndrome. What is it good to have it? Is it good to not have it? I think a healthy respect for your skills, like you've got to be your own advocate in a lot of ways. Especially in the indie world. when you don't have an agency or a team or someone looking out for you, you have you. And you have a few friends, obviously, who help you, but ultimately at the end of the day, you have you. And so the work never stops, and the fear of falling behind is real, but it's not. If you feel like you're in competition with everybody else, guess what? You are going to lose. Competition is good, but if you feel like you're always in competition, you're always trying to push yourself to be better than somebody else next to you, you're going to lose, or worse, you become an asshole. I have met many creatives who they probably should have a healthy dose of imposter syndrome, but they don't. And it's not that their work is bad. Sometimes their work is really good, but then they're arrogant as shit about it. Like, I work really hard and I deserve all that. I'm like, I don't like that.
It's bordering entitlement in a way.
Yeah. And but that's a me thing. I have talked about this in the past. I will not name names. I won't call anybody out, but there are some people who are like, they come from privilege and they love to write and talk about and create about heroes rising up and stopping the people with privilege because they feel guilty for their privilege. And like, and I shut up. Like, if you have privilege, if you came from it, if you have affluence and you came from this background, don't be ashamed of it. Use it to help people, uplift voices. Don't give it all away to some fictional, like, power structure that's never going to actually do the right thing with it. If you know you can make affect change and affect change, write about affecting change. Fantastic. Do this, but don't bemoan where you come from. And for those of us who work really hard to get to where we're at, take a step back, look where you came from, look how far you came. I mean, like you were just saying earlier, like when you were started working on the Technomancer, the illustrated book with me, when we were doing this thing together, you had a very different style. Look at what looks on the screen now versus what you drew back then. Are they the same? Exactly. But see, and sometimes that's what causes our self-doubt. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I wrote this. I can't believe I published this. I can't believe I drew this back then. Oh my God, like I'm so much better now. Why would I ever do this? Like, shush, it's part of the process. It's okay.
Here's the funny thing though, because I mean, we've recorded quite a few episodes at this point, and a great many times you somehow, for some reason, refer to this whole Mistress of Darkness thing, where I worked from the dark to the light, blah, blah, blah.
That's how I introduced.
Yeah. It's basically, that's what I did at the time that we met. And I keep trying to convince myself that in a way that's still what I'm doing. There is always this very large source of darkness before I start working towards the light. So, like, in essence, I think it is all still in me and I still kind of work that way. But I mean, looking at this particular painting, it doesn't quite feel like that. And sometimes I am so afraid that I've lost that edge, that I've, completely succumbed to it has to be cute and whimsy instead of dark and gritty, or, so every time you go on and like give me compliments about the work that I used to make, there is this voice in the back of my head saying, oh my God, he only likes the work that I used to make. He doesn't like the work that I make now. Oh my God, yeah, it's terrible. And I know that's not true. No, of course.
No, I love the work. No. What I'm saying is like, no, but actually, like, I make sure we're missing the point. Like, I love the work you make now. I love how far you've come. I love this. I love your old work too. That's the thing. I wouldn't have asked you to work with me if I didn't love your old work. And I did love that. And I love where this is going now. What I'm saying is, for you, like, using what you just said, I'll make an analogy for myself. When I go back and reread Technomancer, because I'm not reading, but like I'm looking at it because I've been doing new editions and trying to clean up a little bit of the language and things like that. Like, I miss how I used to write. I very much do, because I was bold and stupid, and I love that. I had no problems marching forth and making a mistake and just kind of and now I'm way more tempered in my writing. But what I've gotten from fans and friends alike for the last several years is like, you've gotten so much better at writing. You weren't bad before, but you've gotten so much better. And I'm like, have I? Because I feel like I've lost something. I feel like I've lost it all the time. Like that me that wrote that first book is gone, but I guess he's not, he's still in there. He's just matured. He's learned a few things, but it still feels like I don't write with the same confidence or bravado or stupid, but that's part of the who we are as people. When God, I am talking with my hands. I'm literally gesturing like we were talking about this before. My God, I look down and I see my
barely grazed the microphone. For the listeners, why this comes up is that in the previous recordings, I always do like a little audio editing after we're done recording. And in the last couple of episodes, I hear this ding sound a couple of times, and I had to take it out. And that was because Gibby hit his microphone because he was talking with his hands. So
I'm a hand talker. I'm a big time hand talker. I am like, I might as well. and I realize I'm talking to you as I'm looking at the screen. I'm gesticulating as if you're right in front of me, and I'm like, I'm looking. And I hate for the ADD to kick in. But I look down, like mid thought. I'm like, oh, look at my hands. My God, I am all over the place.
This episode is becoming more meta every minute.
Well, that's the thing. Is like it's episodes like but like it's conversations with my friend. Like we've been there for each other through a lot of things, despite having never met in person. That's the weird part.
This is the weirdest thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I so hoped that I was gonna remember when I was a finalist in the Illustrations of the Future contest, and if I actually passed as a finalist, I was going to be flown out to LA, and I was going to ask you to like chaperone me over there. But that never really happens, because otherwise that would have been the first time we'd meet.
Yeah, also, the funny is, like, you say LA, like, that's like
the other side of America. I know. I still would have asked you.
Over 3,000 miles I'd have to fly to get there. Are you paying for that shit? That's just not cheap.
I know. I am well aware. But at least I'd be in America, so it would be closer. Like, I'll meet you halfway, okay? I'll fly to Baltimore, and then we'll fly to LA together. But, I mean, that was the idea, but it didn't happen, so whatever.
Like, Baltimore is 45 minutes from my house. I could be there in, like, 45 minutes to an hour.
I know, but then we have to get from Baltimore to LA.
Anyway, what was I saying? Something about imposter. I don't know. Try hard. Well, no, but I think so. For anybody out there who feels like they're doubting themselves, because here's another fun one from our past. Do you remember what was was a convention, a showing, something like that? It was like an art. Take your art to get ripped apart by professionals to see if you can work for like whatever industry. You did something there. Do you remember that?
Oh, was it the part? Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's a while ago. That was from the Folio Society, where they have this annual contest where you can submit art. And if you win, you basically get like a professional portfolio review from artists within the Folio Society.
And how did that go?
It didn't.
No, what was the one where there was something you came back from that you were having, like, they tore your art apart. You did an art thing, you submitted it, and like the critiques were like, they were all over the place about the critique and about how you get like no sense of light or God rays or something like, and like you came back, you were devastated for.
Yes. Oh my God! Yes, that was at Playgrounds a couple of years ago. So that's like a giant convention where there's game and movie studios.
Yes,
and you can just walk around there as a student. I know which one you mean. And I had my portfolio all prepared. And the funny thing is that I even put work from the Technomancer book in there. And I was talking to, I think it was a guy from Guerrilla Studios. So that was Horizon Zero Dawn, I think, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, he butchered my work. He had no shame in tearing this down. I got zero compliments, and I was pretty messed up from that one. and looking back, of course, I've gotten better since. And this was Guerrilla Studios talking, and they are like a top 3 sort of AAA studio. So of course they're going to look for the best of the best of the best, sir. Because I always say that when I love making that reference.
Yeah, Men in Black. They just got that in the Netherlands last week. I was very proud of them. So
anyway, in hindsight, it made sense what this guy said. He was just not very nuanced in the way he presented it, and I guess that's the teacher in me. Having worked with kids and feedback, or not even kids, like students in general, giving feedback and always trying to pair a minus with a plus. I mean, I do that with you as well. Like the other day when you had the new covers for the Aggie books up, and I said, I messaged you and I said, well, that sucks. Basically, it's what it came down to. And then if you look at the chat message, there was like 15 minutes in between before I finished. The other stuff actually looks good, but this is terrible. I realized, fuck, I'm doing what I hate.
And I messaged you back like, thanks for tagging that on, asshole. Like.
Yeah, and I realize, it's those kind of things that really tap into your sense of imposter syndrome. When somebody comes in and just burns something down, it gives you this feeling like nothing of what you did is actually good. Where that is, I dare say 9 out of 10 times that's not the case. There is always at least something that you've done right. And I know that is such a childish thing to say, or maybe it's even humiliating in ways, like at least you did something good. You did 101 things and only one of them is actually good. I don't mean it that way, but I feel like it helps, when you know that you suffer from imposter syndrome. I think those are the easiest wins that you can sort of drag yourself back into, is look at the things that did go right, that did meet your expectations and did meet your
Yeah.
goals.
On that particular one, yeah, as you said that I put some stuff up and you looked at it and you're like, you messaged me immediately, basically saying no. But it was only because the lettering. It wasn't like, it was just like, and that was the problem. Like, it was an overall no.
It was just the font, basically. Yeah.
Right. Like, everything is gorgeous, but this one part. And instead of saying it that way, it came across as like, stop, dear God, no, but like, huh.
Yeah, and also, and I can imagine that the fact that I dropped you a direct message for that instead of just posting that in the comments could also add to the, oh my God, this is serious. Like, this woman is serious. But at the same time,
no, I actually turned to my wife at the time. I said, well, she's like, well, like, Sandy said it's on fire. Because I've known my friend for these years. It's like, so you have this, like, you hyper react to certain things because you care, and that's like, don't send it to the printers yet. There's a mistake. Quick. I caught a typo kind of feel. And I have to, and I had a good chuckle because I knew the background was good and I knew the lettering was a little bit off. I put it out there to see what people would think about it. And something wasn't quite clicking for me and I wanted to get some feedback.
And there I was.
But I didn't frame it as such. I had you and another friend, Jake, reached out. Jake did it publicly and politely, and you reached it privately and destructively. And
this is what I do. I'll feed into your imposter syndrome a little bit more.
Well, and that's the thing. Is like, so sometimes when I'm working on a project, I know when I'm onto something. It feels like I know I'm onto something, but what I need is I need a voice saying too much or too little, like you're on the right path, go further, or you've gone too far off the path. But you need to pull it back some.
Are you ever afraid to ask me for feedback, or just in general? I mean, it doesn't even have to be about me, but
sometimes, not every time. When I'm confident on something, no. When I'm not so confident on something, yes, because I don't want to hear what I already know, but I need to hear it anyway.
Yeah, but this ties 100% into like the example with the stupid politicians. It's like, it's exactly the moment where you need feedback the most is when we stop asking it because we are afraid. And I find that super interesting because why? How does that even work? Like, why does my brain shut itself off for feedback the second I need it the most? It's weird. It's strange.
Because you already know the answer. It's like the eternal, does this make my butt look big? Yes. Yes, if you're asking the question, the answer is probably yes, but it's okay. Some people like a big butt. There's nothing wrong with, like, it's like you're posing, you're hoping to get something different, but you already know the answer. And I know there are certain projects that I'm working on that I know this is not it. I think there's a good theme or element or something there. I'm in the ballpark, but sometimes I feel like I'm swinging blind, like I just close my eyes and I'm trying to fight, like I know I'm in the right area, but I'm just whiffing constantly. And sometimes I need an outside perspective. Like, try this. Oh, I see this is like, and sometimes that helps you pull you back in. But you're afraid to ask because, we want to be big boys and girls. We want to be able to do things on our own. We want to be independent. I don't work on a creative team. Like, if you and I actually, if we ever did create, like, a company, like, and work on projects together, we might actually kill each other.
There's a chance, yes.
It's like, but everything we work on together always comes out better, but usually we fight a lot. And
I know you've said this multiple times, and it always makes me chuckle because the funny thing is, I don't experience this as fighting. Like, whenever we go back and forth, and yes, we rip each other's hairs out, if you would still have any, I don't consider it fighting. Like, for me, this is just, it's part of the aggressive creative process. And
aggressive creative process. Like, it's arguing. And
I know, it feels right, but it doesn't, for me, it doesn't feel hostile and anything. Right. But I now, I understand that it does feel hostile to you, so I'll try to...
Well, of course, sometimes things can feel, again, when you care about something and someone's attacking it, or it can feel hostile. It can feel like this is, like, I know, for example, when you do it's either like, when you say, ooh, sir, like it means you're happy. When you go, ooh, it means you're unhappy. But let's say I actually cared about something, I put work in, and you go, ooh, I'm like, I don't want to hear that. When something I think I'm onto something, but then we have to go round and round on this. And that's, again, just part of the process. It is, there's always a level of fear of failure you should have. Like, what were you saying at the very beginning of this? What'd you call it?
Positive fear of failure. Jesus, pronounce the word, woman. Positive fear of failure. There, I Englished it.
Please expound on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I believe, well, I think it's science. It's not necessarily even my belief. And I wish I had the right documentation to back this up. But there exists such a thing as positive fear of failure, where being afraid of failing at a task actually pushes you to, do your best a little bit more, or be a little bit more innovative so that you can actually achieve said task. It's fear of failure can go two ways. Some people respond to the fear of failure, by blacking out, or they just completely lock down, like they cannot do a single thing anymore. And there's also a lot of people that, because of that fear, do everything they can. They go above and beyond to prevent that fear from becoming the truth. And so they thrive. And that's why I personally believe that imposter syndrome, as much as it sucks, because there's been moments where I spend hours staring at a blank canvas before I dared pick up the brush and start painting. But I do feel like that exact same fear can sometimes push you to the next level.
Okay. So I was pulling it up and have when channeled correctly, the fear of failure is a powerful evolutionary advantage. A healthy dose of fear helps a person drive through, prepare themselves, sharpens their focus on the details, and fuels the motivation to push past your limits. And these are all accurate things. Like we used to use that. Okay, so when I asked you before, I was like, when you mentioned them, I had not heard the term, but I was like, maybe I wouldn't know it in practice. In the military, we used to do that constantly. Like, no, this is your ass. Like this is the job you have to do. And when you know that there is an actual consequence to not performing, some people freeze and some people perform, and we teach you how to not freeze, and by exposing you to these painful potential failures over and over and over until you learn to like run towards the danger,
and it'll never be comfortable. It will never become a comfortable feeling, but you get used to it.
Yes. Well, it's courage. Right, but that's what courage is. And this is just a mental form of courage. It's like, you're scared, but you're doing it anyway. I don't care that you're scared. We all feel fear. But cowboy up and saddle up anyway. Like this has to get done. And that is the beautiful part of like when you practice these type of things, like you overcome this, like imposter syndrome is always going to be there. Fear of failure is always going to be there, and the people who are bereft of these things, who don't have them whatsoever, the ones who actually scare me, because again, they just trump through life unafraid, unabashed, and often succeed where you think you should have succeeded more. Because sometimes I can't tell you the amount of times I'll sit there and agonize over a paragraph. Like I'm writing something, I'm like, is this how I'm, this isn't really coming across the way I want, with the impact or the style or the blah, blah, blah. And then I crack a book on some other person that's, more famous than me. And I read a paragraph. I'm like, how the fuck did this get written? This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And like, but okay. All right. Clearly this is a me thing. I am worrying way too much over something. Like,
I mean, you're your own worst critic, right?
Right. No, I am everybody else's worst critic. Like
this is also, I'm your worst critic.
No, it's not the arrogance that I think I'm a great writer. I like to write, and I'm pretty good at it, but I'm always trying to get better at it. And I feel sometimes I realize some people work or look at their art or whatever, like, did you give up? Because I like to see progression, because ultimately, like by the time I die, I want to be like, I'm pretty good, like I might be even great, but there's some people who think they like, there are some people with innate talent in all the mediums, music, art, all the entire creative process. They are just savants, they are just great. And like, I applaud them, and the rest of us have to work at it. Like having a little bit of talent is good, but then like the work that hones your craft, makes you better, and obviously it's part of, the process. It's the fear of that process that will hold you back. Or some people just don't want to like share it, And here's like, you don't have to share your work, and no one says you should, but it doesn't hurt to share, it might touch somebody.
Well, I mean, in today's world, you don't have to share. Nobody's forcing you to share, but if you want to achieve some form of greater success than, your mom and dad telling you you're such a great artist, then, social media kind of is the gateway into that. So yeah, I mean, we've talked about this in previous episodes, and I'm pretty sure that we'll touch upon the subject later on another time, because it's so complex. Sure, you don't have to post your work, but I think it also feeds into the getting better part, because you will get feedback. You'll get trolls too, of course, but nobody will give you more sincere feedback than people who see your work for the very first time in the blink of an eye, because the average time span people look at a post is like below 3 seconds, if they even make it that far. So if somebody has something to say about your work within that 1, 2, or 3 seconds, it is something prominent enough to make a comment about. So I do believe that, posting your work or showing your work and going out into the world with it, taps into the getting better part. But it can be very difficult, because it'll also mean that people will take a crap in your work sometimes.
100%. Some people will do it out of like rage. Some people are just Some people are just spiteful. They love to destroy. And also, but at the same time, I don't want false gushing either. If you actually like it, cool. Great. A little gush is nice, but like don't gild the lily there. There is.
But this is what the whole thing with feedback is. It's like you give something positive to someone before you tell them what could be better. So I don't think that's gushing, or that's not gilding the lily, or blowing smoke up your ass.
No. What I mean, when people kiss, people who like a book or an author or an artist, regardless of quote unquote quality, this is just like every book they write is 5 stars. Every song they create
regardless
is
of the
a
masterpiece.
Of the book. Yeah. And it's,
didn't we have a full episode on this, by the way?
Maybe. It all blurs together. So
it's life is one giant episode of The Butcher Shop. Speaking of The Butcher Shop, if you haven't followed the channel yet, go ahead and give us a cheeky follow and give us a thumbs up if you like the subject so far. And while you're at it, go look us up on Spotify, because we now also have an audio-only edition that you can listen to every week. That said, I think we need to come up with our weekly question to the audience.
Well, the easy one is like, do you suffer from imposter syndrome, and what do you do to overcome it? Do you, or do you just blindly march forward, or or just what's your favorite artist? How about that?
Yes, I actually had the exact same question in my mind. It's like, how, if you suffer from imposter syndrome, which I'm pretty sure you do, because otherwise you would not have clicked to watch or listen to this episode. But how do you overcome it? Yeah. Drop that in the comments, and let's see if we can get this conversation going. Gib, thanks so much again for a very valuable conversation here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, as always.
As always, exactly. And thanks everybody else for watching and or listening, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye, everybody.